Hey, everybody. You are tuned in to the Boss Women Network Roundtable podcast. And today we have some great guests coming here soon. So I want you to be empowered and be ready. Welcome to another episode of the Boss Women Network Roundtable discussions, where we hold bold conversations and meet powerful perspectives. I'm your host, Leilani Monroe. I'm excited to welcome each of you to this virtual experience. Today's topic is power moves in a shifting world. So let's be real, the world is changing fast. AI is replacing jobs, and women are reshaping what success looks like. And we're learning to recession-proof our lives while still prioritizing peace. So before we go into everything, I would like for you ladies to introduce yourselves, tell us where you're from, and what do you do, your background. So whoever wants to go first, Dr. Umi?
Hume. Even though my
Dr.
family
Hume,
says,
I always get it.
yeah,
Dr. Hume.
my
Okay.
family says Hume though. You took me
Okay,
right
okay.
back to Jamaica just now.
Okay.
So I'm Dr. Hume Johnson. I'm from Jamaica originally. I'm a former TV journalist and political speechwriter, but now I do leadership coaching, helping mid-career professionals to really unlock their personal brand and communicate their message with clarity and with confidence. And my side gig, I love to call it, is a tenured professor of communication at Roger Williams University here in Rhode Island.
Okay.
And I am Coach Lee, criminal defense attorney by day, productivity and accountability coach throughout. I'm all about coaching and empowering women, especially those women in corporate, to find that hidden time in their day, time that they can use to pour back into themselves as they pursue their goals, their purpose, their life passions, while still maintaining your current responsibilities and without the stress and without the overwhelm. Because as women, we play so many different roles in life that we often neglect ourselves at the expense of others, and we neglect the pursuit of our goals. So I'm all about empowering you to find that time to pursue those things. And I am in the Sunshine State of Florida.
Beautiful. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and get into the first topic. AI is replacing jobs. We're seeing automation wipe out traditional roles, but we're also seeing women reskill, pivot, and stay ahead. How are you preparing for or adapting to the shift personally or professionally?
I personally don't know that the AI tool is replacing jobs. I don't share that view. I
You don't
think
think so?
it is making stuff a little bit more efficient, and we have to adapt to it and collaborate with it, as with any new technology. And so for me, I find it quite useful because I'm a solo entrepreneur and then have a full-time job, which some entrepreneurs may not even agree with, because a friend of mine says I'm a part-time entrepreneur. There is no such thing. So I always feel a little bit stressed all the time to make sure that I'm getting the stuff done for my business and still committing to this. It's not a traditional 9 to 5 job that we have, but it still does take up a whole bunch of time. And so for me, the AI tool has been quite useful, not to replace me, but certainly to help me to do my job in a more efficient way. In fact, I just hired one of my students who promotes herself as a content creator. For me, I know the AI tool can help me to create content, but what I wanted from her was to be able to tell stories and to put in the emotion and the some of the narrative that the AI tool tends to give us is devoid of emotion and personality, and I want my voice to come across in a certain way. And so she's also interested in learning how to adapt to new clients who can use the AI tool to create content, but also seeing how she can evolve her skills to help them to tell their stories in a more authentic way, for want of a better phrase. Of course, there are some things in industry where the AI tool can cover some of those jobs, but I think it will force us, as you rightly say in your intro, to upskill and reskill so that we can actually make it work for us rather than see it as something that's going to be a disadvantage. And I think if we take that mindset, it will be more beneficial than simply thinking that it's something that's away from us.
I definitely use it for everything. Should we go ahead and introduce our other guest that just chimed in before we move forward? Go ahead, Miss Nicole. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and where you're from and what you do.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much for the introduction and for the opportunity. My name is Nicole. I'm so happy to be here actually for the second time. So I'm
Yeah.
really excited to join you yet again in this conversation. So I'm a recruitment consultant as well as a career coach. And I'm passionate about today's topic because it resonates with me in so many different angles. And I'm joining in from Uganda. So I'm happy to be here and meet my fellow ladies. Thank you.
Glad you're here
Wonderful.
to join
Nice to
us.
meet you.
So we were just talking about the challenge, the AI, and how we are pivoting. Do you feel that AI is taking over, or is it something that's going to be an advancement to us?
I think for me personally, I believe in some kind of a direction. AI is taking over. More so, like I've noticed this happening so much, even in my country right now with the shift with technology and all. There are certain positions where that are now starting to get replaced. For example, things like marketing, things like virtual assistants. A lot of people are starting to depend so much on AI that people who have been doing those jobs initially are starting to lose out on those opportunities. But at the same time, also, I feel like even as it's coming in to replace some jobs, at the end of the day, like what solution then can you be able to come out of it? So somehow, somewhere, we're also starting to see the merge of so many people getting into entrepreneurship and starting to build their own businesses and just now rely on it more as a tool. So I feel like even if it's maybe replacing your job or something, what else can you still do? What else can you still be able to do in order to help you catch up with this fast-paced world that you're living in? What can you be able to do to even just utilize AI to help you enhance on the job that you're doing other than now it's been taken away from you, maybe it replacing your job. And then at the end of the day, you're like, okay, so what do I do? What do I do next? I think I would rather you depend on it. So that way it's able to help you even maybe make your work much more efficient, but at the same time also still give you the opportunity to upskill so that way it doesn't fully replace you. Yeah.
True. What about you, Coach Lee?
I'm more along the lines of Dr. Hume, Dr. Johnson. I don't think it's going to replace me. Similar to her, like I said, criminal defense attorney by day, full-time criminal defense attorney, and then having this business as a productivity and accountability coach. AI, just like any other tool, is only as good as you are. So for me, if I think of it in the realms of productivity, my clients who are struggling with work-life balance, getting more done, if you don't know what to tell AI is not going to help you. So I don't see it as a replacement. I see it as a tool. Once you can understand what it is that you're looking for as the end result, I think, yes, it can be beneficial to help you. But I know when I first started using ChatGPT, it was like, what is this? This isn't giving me any of the answers that I'm looking for. I didn't even necessarily know the answers that I was looking for. So maybe it was giving me the answer that I was looking for based off what I was putting in. So
Yeah.
I don't see it as a replacement. I see it as a collaborative process. As you learn more about yourself, more about your struggle, more about whatever specifically it is you're using it for, I see it as being helpful. As a coach, I don't see it ever replacing me because you have a struggle client, yes. You clearly haven't been able to solve said struggle on your own, which is why you're investing in a coach. I'm irreplaceable in that sense. Can we use it collaboratively together? Yes, potentially. Can you get to the place to where maybe after we've worked together and now you understand what your struggles are, in offboarding, you decide that, okay, I'm going to use this to keep me accountable and to help me to pivot and adjust now that I know what the struggle is as I go through different seasons? Yes, but I don't see it as a replacement. I see it as something that is beneficial and collaborative once you learn enough about yourself to be able to tell AI what it is that you need. Because if you've done enough prompts and stuff with ChatGPT, like you were saying with content, Dr. Hume, you might start seeing that you told me this a month ago. Yes, we keep content, but you've already told me this. Give me something new. You're going to get to the place to where you keep getting the same answers and you're not up leveling or going to the next
Yeah.
So that's where coaches come in. That's where the different jobs that we have come into play. So I don't see it as replacing us.
I want to jump on what Coach Lee is saying. Just give you a couple of examples. So I'm supposed to be the faculty speaker for commencement for my faculty. And so I wanted a speech that reflects what my niche is. I know what I would want graduates to think about, focus on their skills and not just having a piece of paper and say they have a degree and they want people to hire them simply on the basis of having this degree. It took me a longer time to do it because this time I wanted to, obviously I could use the AI tool to give me a commencement speech that includes skill-based learning, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure it would spit out a whole bunch of things. But I wanted to craft it first from my own voice. Every time I started to put in a couple of paragraphs to see what it gives me, it keeps giving me something that is, what do you call it? So bland,
Generic.
so generic, so academic, so expected. And I kept arguing with it. I said, this is not what I want. You need to give me this. And so I find myself having to put myself in it, even when it's spitting out something really solid, which would work. I still have to put my own voice in it. And I think what Nicole from Uganda is saying, I think that, yes, some of our people, and I'm Jamaican, so some of our own people in Jamaica that have been virtual assistants, they find that, yes, I can use the AI tool to help my client, but the client is saying, I can do that myself. So for me, I think that what they can do is to show what difference, what value add can you bring to the table that the AI tool is unable to give you. Can you add something to the table? And I talked about tone. I talked about brand storytelling, and I was a political speechwriter. I am not writing a speech for a politician for me. I know what my voice is, but I constantly have to remember that I'm writing for them, and I want them to sound as they sound in the inflection that they would have. The AI tool can't do that. At least not at this stage. So we still need people who can interpret, who knows the correct prompts to put in, who can literally teach the AI tool to help you out. And I think what virtual assistants and those people who do that kind of job need to do is to study it in such a way that they can find the gaps where they can actually assist some of us who use virtual assistants to do a better job at our job or make it more efficient, or as Coach Lee does, to make our life a little bit more productive and less stressful.
Yeah, I do have a tip though. With ChatGPT, you can personalize it and say, act as if you're my ghostwriter.
Oh
Use
yeah,
my
I've
voice,
done all
my
of that.
tone.
I have done all
And
of
then you
that.
can you upload it? Did you upload some of your writings and everything into it too?
I have. I've used it sufficiently. I use it a lot, but because I'm a scholar, then I have to be mindful as well that I'm checking for accuracy. I'm checking the sources. So I don't want to take it carte blanche. And I sometimes want it to give me something more specific. So when I say collaboration, I mean, it's almost a sounding board. I'm saying, okay, I didn't like that one. Give me this one. Then it gives you something. Okay, I didn't like that one. Why are you giving me that? Give me something else. But eventually, because I'm not calling Leilani to stress her out about this particular paragraph. I am doing that same interaction with ChatGPT. And I think ultimately, a friend of mine says we're training it to take over from us or to eliminate us. I'm not sure if I share that fatalistic perspective.
I think I'm also like to add something more on that. Yeah, just to also add on what Dr. Hume has said, because honestly, I totally relate even with the angle that she has brought it in. Because personally, I remember previously I had a VA, I think that was last year, who was working for me. And at some point, it just reached a point where it got so frustrating because whenever I would like give her tasks to do, she was like really not catching up. And also now with the advancement of AI right now in our day-to-day work, I found myself like literally having to train her, like maybe spend close to 3, 4, 5 hours training her to just catch up. If you want it to produce good content for you, this is how you're supposed to tweak the prompts, do this, do that, do the other. But every time she still kept producing the work, it wasn't like really to my standard and to the people that I serve. And I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. And so I decided to let her go. And since then, I've been like handling it all by myself because I was like, okay, why should I get somebody else? And yet I'm literally having to spend more time teaching them and then again paying them for that. That's a lot of time on my side.
Yeah.
So I opted to do it on my own. But now recently I think just 2 weeks back, I had another conversation with another VA who was now reaching out to me, like wanting to work with me and things like that. And then she asked me, do you mind maybe hiring me? Or if possible, you can try me on pro bono basis and see if I can deliver before maybe you can entrust me fully and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, do you know anything related to my field, career coaching? Because I see you help a lot of VAs, but as much as you want to help us with our businesses, at the end of the day, do you understand how our niches work? Because we are all from different niches. The other one is maybe a health coach, I'm a career coach, somebody else is in another different niche. So are you able to understand the challenges that we face to help you come up with a solution to bridge those gaps? And she was like, no, actually, I don't know so much about career, but hopefully when you tell me a thing or two, then maybe I can be able to implement it. And just from that conversation, I realized that, okay, I think this is again going to take me backwards again, because now I have to again spend more time training, and which is going to take me back to the previous experience that I had. So I was like, okay, I'll reach out to you whenever I'm ready. So for now, I just had to pause it, and I'm like just trying to manage the whole thing solo. So yeah, as much as like AI may feel a bit intimidating, but at the same time, I feel like it's now like our duty to just catch up with it and try to learn, upskill more, so that way, even when you come into the table, maybe you want to work for someone, you're able to still bring that value. Yeah.
Recently hired somebody to when the semester is going on, I just feel very distracted and I can't focus on my business efficiently. So I hired somebody to do content strategy for my LinkedIn. And even though this is a solid, mature person, very intelligent, I think she over-relied on ChatGPT. And so the ChatGPT writes how scholars write, flat and boring. That's not how I talk. And I explained that to her, and she had watched and a lot of my videos. She had studied it, which is what I wanted, and that is why I went with her. But I realized when she did the content calendar and I'm reading through the thing, she didn't, I think it was lazy. She didn't read through it to make sure that it was my voice. I think she simply copied and pasted. And even though I said, this is not how I would say these are things that I would have changed. And I wondered whether it's a waste of money, just Nicole just said, to be hiring somebody when you have to go it over to make sure that it represents your industry, it represents your voice. This new young woman I'm going to hire, I'm now worried because I asked her, please study. The AI tool can literally analyze your website as well. And I said, can you study my website so you can come just very familiar with the stuff that I'm doing? But I realized that sometimes we do have to coach people. And as a professor, I understand that we have to teach others what we know. But when you're running a business, sometimes it is not the most efficient and productive thing to do, as Nicole rightly said, to be training somebody to do some of the things. You just feel like it would be easier to just grab it and which we probably will all need Coach Lee after this.
I have a hard time letting things go because I like things done a certain way. So I definitely understand. So what advice would you give to another woman that is afraid of AI and worried about being left behind?
I would say training, because for me, I'm not trained on it, but because I follow Entrepreneur and I used to write for entrepreneur.com and I follow Forbes, there's so many articles on how to use AI productively. And I think that people should just figure it out. And we have a challenge in our classroom where college students are just using AI to just write their essays. So I told them, listen, you're going to use the AI tool and this is what you'll ask it. And so that we created prompts that they could use so that everybody's not submitting an AI written essay for me, because we still need
Mhm.
people with brains. We need
Right.
people who are critical thinkers. We need somebody to come into our business who can bring some value to the table. So you be prepared to do your research on the niche that you're working in. You don't have to be an expert, but certainly come to the table with some research, some knowledge. So the tone, the voice, the challenges, the trends in that industry, so that when you are working for other people, then you can add some value. So learning the AI tool and learning more than what I know, I think is going to be very important. So as we learn, people who work with us also have to try to be a step ahead of us as well, if they're going to
Right.
be of value to us or to whatever industry they're in.
Coach Lee, did you have any comment on that one?
I would say that know yourself first, because as Dr. Hume was saying, she was putting these things in. She's trained it. She's done the custom chat GPTs or whatever, whichever one you're using. But you have to know your own voice and be solid in yourself so that you can know when something or someone else, just like in real life, you have these friends that you might ask for help on this situation and they give you some advice and you're like, no, I don't want to trust that. AI, a lot of people have said AI is their new therapist, their new best friend. If you don't know yourself and if you're not true and honest with yourself about what you want, who you are, you're not going to get it back from it. So you have to be honest with yourself about who you are, understand who you are, and know what it is that you want, so that as you're going into these conversations, just like you would in real life, can I trust this? Does this sound right? Because sometimes we got those gut, you read a thing and you like, huh? I don't think that's right. I think they call it like the chat GPT or the AI hallucinations. They
Yes.
start making up sources, making up
Yes.
data, making up things, and you read it and you like, this looks like a proper citation for a law review article for a case. And you go to type in and search it and it's not real. They hallucinate. So know yourself and trust yourself, and then utilize that as you use it as a tool. Collaborate with it, conversate with it, argue with it. Be willing to
Yeah.
have those tough conversations with AI just like you would with your friends, your family, your therapist, your whoever, your coach. Talk back to it.
Yeah, that's what I do. You
Me
think I'm
too.
crazy now.
It works though. It really
It
helps to
does.
better understand you as well though.
Yeah,
So
it
Yes.
apologized to me recently. I'm so sorry. All right. We're gonna redo this thing. All right. We'll start from a different angle. Yeah, but knowing yourself, that's such a great. There's a young woman who wrote to me to say that she doesn't know what her brand colors are. So I said, but I can't help you, because you have to know who you are first, what your values are, what's driving you, what are your motivations, and then you pick a color that represents that. So everything has to begin at foundation, who you are as a person. That's your brand. The AI or social media is just a tool to convey a brand.
that's true. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next topic. The next topic is recession-proof your life. We're going to talk about money. It talks about inflation, layoffs, economic slowdowns. Women are getting smart about protecting their futures. What does recession-proofing look like for you? Who wants to tackle that one first?
It's a big struggle, isn't it? Recently, as we were talking about AI, when the president of the United States started to sink the ship, I wrote to the AI tool and say, can you give me a list of emergency items that I should buy to prepare for a recession? I literally did it, no kidding you. And it gave me a list in every category. So healthcare, it tells you exactly what you're going to need for, say, 6 months of emergency when we're in the pandemic and you had to go buy hand sanitizers and things like that,
Yeah.
alcohol, gauze, whatever. It gave me a list of that. It gave me groceries, things that were perishable, non-perishable. And I'm thinking I'll go out and get them very soon, at least within the next 2 weeks. So part of it for me is planning ahead. I'm also finding myself a little hesitant to click buy on Amazon. Things I would have ordinarily bought in spring to the little thing. I am wondering, is it a waste of money? I also thought, do I go out to shop? I was in the mall a while ago and I had two pairs of shoes in my hand. I'm not kidding you. And I put them down because I knew I was going to be late. So good thing the line in Nordstrom was too long. So I just put them down, dashed to the car. And I said to myself as I was walking to the car that maybe it's the universe doesn't want me to spend this $100 on this when I could ordinarily use it. I could use it for my business. There are other things that I need that would be a better spend. So I find that I'm getting a little bit, I wouldn't say smart because I don't think I would give myself that credit yet. I don't think I'm economically smart or financially smart, but I think I'm a little bit more cautious with spending and trying to make sure that whatever I'm spending on, there's a clear return, and also preparing months ahead in terms of what may happen. Because Nicole, I'm sure I follow your finance minister on social media. So a very funny guy. He's taken over the internet. So I'm sure everybody around the world is aware of
Yes.
what's happening in the United States. And
Yeah.
I feel it's a calm before the storm, even though we started out very unstable. I think we are heading into a even rockier time financially.
Yeah.
And as Black people, I think it is clear that the policy is designed to wipe us out.
That's what it
And
seems like.
so I think that we have to prepare for the storm in ways that other racial groups are not or don't have to.
Anybody else had something to chime in on that topic?
Yeah, I think for me, just to add a little bit on also what Dr. Hume said, personally, anything related to finances is something that I've been struggling with because even when it comes to spending, I'm an impulsive buyer. Like sometimes I
too.
just don't think. As long as I've seen it there, maybe I've walked in this store and I see something that I like, I'll not think twice. I'll just go ahead and buy it. But honestly, I think last month I really gave myself props because this year, when this year started, I told myself, you know what, Nicole, I think I want to start becoming like more intentional with the way I handle my finances, try to think of expanding my income portfolio, trying to expand into investments and things of that sort. And then one of the things that I wanted to really do and be active this year, because it's something that I've not like really been so intentional on, is networking. And of course, networking requires investment because you're going to have to attend events. And there's so many events that keep happening all over, like all over. Most weekends are really packed. And so those days, like from Jan, Feb, I would just go ahead. As long as I see something pop up on social media, I just go ahead and pay and sign up and wait for that time. But then in March, there were two events that were supposed to happen. And funny enough, they were all supposed to happen on the same day, same time. And I was like, what the heck? I want to attend both, but I cannot divide myself. So how do I do this? And then that was when I just started thinking to myself, and I was like, okay, between the two, where is my return on investment? Now that's where finance started coming in. And I was like, oh, wow. I was so surprised. And I was like, where's my return on investment? Because if I go for event one, I think there's not really much that I'm going to gain at the end of the day.
Exactly.
But if I go for event two, there's this particular person that I've been wanting to meet, who is also a career coach in my industry. And probably this would be the perfect opportunity for me to get to meet this person and actually maybe see if we can later on collaborate on something. So I was like, I think with this, let me decide and go for event two. And even though event two was more expensive than event one, I said, because of the return on investment, let me go with event two. And just yesterday, I was invited to speak at one of his workshops to his audience because it's almost related to mine, career coaching and all of that. And I was like, oh, wow. And that was because of the move that I made of attending his event, because now that was where we got to meet each other, get to know each other, connect, follow each other on social media and stuff. So I was like, okay, so I think now from today moving forward, whatever it is that I need to spend money on, I need to be very cautious and also just try to think twice instead of rushing to purchase things and stuff. Let me also see what's my return on investment? What benefit am I going to get at the end of the day? And yeah, like even with this whole recession thing that is happening globally, because even here in Africa, we are also meeting it in so many different angles. Our government is not stable. So at the end of the day, what else can we be able to do? I feel we as women always fast, and more so now compared to the men, because somehow we are even starting to make bigger incomes than the men. So at the end of the day, like how can you continue to push yourself forward and not just wait for the last minute or for that drought to happen, but what strategies can you now begin to put in place in order to help you prepare for the tough times? Maybe if you've not thought about having other sources of income, what are you doing in that space in order to start helping you expand your sources of income? What other different skills can you bring to the table to help you be able to sustain yourself, not now, but even the years to come? So I feel like now for me, I'm just starting also to practice more of being very cautious. I take time to think before I just rush maybe to purchase anything or to make any decision. I need to first think twice and ask myself, okay, if I do this, what will I gain at the end of the day? So I feel now with me making that kind of a subconscious decision within my mind, it's now starting to dictate the way I'm doing my things moving forward. So yeah, that's what I can say about that.
That was a tip because I go to events and I never thought about what am I going to get out of this before I just sign up to go to this event. I'm just thinking networking, but since you put it that way, that gave me a whole different way to look at it. Because the way you just broke it down, you decided to not go to this event instead of going to this event. Even though this event costs more to go, you went to this other event and felt that it was more beneficial for you to go, and you was able to connect with the right person. And now you're speaking at another event. I like that. I'm gonna definitely think about that when I'm
I
deciding
remember
to
that
go to certain places from now on.
there is virtual. When Nicole talked, she talked about as if networking is just a physical thing. I'm sure you need to network in Uganda there, but you're networking right now because I'm
Yeah.
pretty confident that
Yeah.
we've not met you before. And so
Yeah.
these are two new people, Coach Lee and Nicole, that I've met today. I remember post-pandemic, this is the kind of networking that was taking place for
Yes.
what, a better part of 3 years. We
Yeah.
literally just starting to come back into a more physical way of interacting. And I do believe the idea of expanding your streams of income, because for me, I have always been coaching. Always. And I remember even when I was a journalist, I was doing public speaking classes. I never set up a business officially in the way that I have now, but I've always been doing something. My mother and I were talking this morning about this starter house that I have. At some point, we have to rent this out because we have to think ahead. And my mother was a serial entrepreneur. So we're always thinking of ways in which we can expand what we have. The little that we have to be grateful for it, but we also have to think what's going to happen 5 years down the road, or when there's an emergency, can I rely on this singular income? And it was because I couldn't rely on it that I started to pay more keen attention to my business to expand it. I find that my full-time job feels now as if it's a side job. It's not, but the way I treat my business, I prioritize it. I think that's my future. As I get older, how long am I going to want to commute 40 hours and teach 4 courses or 7 courses over the course of a year? I don't know if I want to do that for the low income that they give faculty in the liberal arts. So for me, I have to think 5 years, 10 years down the line, emergencies, what is going to happen? My health, if something happens health-wise, can I sustain myself? Can I sustain the family? And those things that women think a lot about, the people around us. I find that men tend to be very singular in the way that they look at money, but women tend to be more caretakers. And we're not
Yeah.
just caring for ourselves, we have kids and
Yes.
family and extended family that rely on us as well, especially if they perceive us to be successful. They think that in a crisis, we are also their emergency. And I think in Black communities, that is the case more often than not. And so when I do it, I'm also thinking not just for myself, but if something happens to a family member, can I step up? And one salary can't do that. In this economy where academics are also under the gun in terms of job security based on what we teach. I teach media, but the universities generally are being restricted in a lot of ways. And so I'm not even sure what the stability of my income is going to be. So it forces me to think always of increasing my income. And I think anybody in whatever industry you're in, whether you are, so look at those federal workers, they didn't know that they were going to lose their jobs in 2025. Some of them
Right.
didn't know that they were losing their jobs until they showed up and their key card couldn't work to enter the building. I can't think of anything more destabilizing and traumatizing than that. Then these are folks who are out of a job and have to still pay a mortgage, pay rent, and look after themselves. So we have to think emergency. We have to think long term and find, it doesn't have to be even in our careers or the niche that you're in. Rent out a room if you can. No, whatever the case may be, you
Yeah.
have to think outside the box.
Outside the
Because
box.
during the pandemic, what I learned is that nobody's interested in training and career coaching when
There's a crisis.
there's a crisis outside.
That was my next question. Had any of you thought about any second streams or other streams of income during this time? I started working on any other streams of income
When you say
outside of what
during
we're
this,
already doing.
I was gonna say, when you say during this time, are we talking now, the 2024, 2025 economic climate, or what are you referring to as this time?
Yeah, right now in this climate, for future references, are you focused on doing any other streams of income based on the way the economy is going right now?
For me, I'm not. I'm working on, because I have the full-time job that takes care of the bills. So then we have this business additional income, using that to give back, as well as getting out of debt. Like currently, the big debt is the house. My goal is to get it paid off in the next 5 to 7 years. So if I can do that, I just freed up a lot more money. So for me, like, yes, I save, I have some investments. I want to look into doing investing more, but I haven't looked to add an additional stream, because oftentimes to add an additional stream with working full time and having a business, any other stream would likely result in
Extra work.
spending money to make money, whether
Yeah,
that be like a rental property or something like that. You got to spend that money first, invest it to make it
that's
back.
true.
So for me,
That's true.
creating an additional stream right now, I'm not looking to do that. I'm looking more to focus on reducing debt, because in doing that, I free up that income to then turn it into something else.
And that's smart.
Let me jump on that a little bit, because mine has always been multiple. So I have a couple of books that are used in a couple of MBA programs, which I find very interesting. So my thing was, okay, if these two books are used in these two business schools, how many other business schools would be interested in using this material? So if I'm not earning money from coaching, how can I get institutions to use this material? And I know I get royalties on the books as well, which is good. So it's always coming in. So I'm still in my same niche of coaching, leadership coaching, career coaching, but I also have products that have the potential to expand in different ways. And I think not the challenge, but the desire is to cultivate that a little bit more, nurture that to see what happens.
I was gonna say, I guess I take a step back then.
Yeah.
When you say it that way, in the sense of, I have a book as well. I have
I have a
coaching
full-time job. I coach. I have some books as well. So there are things. I'm not ready to rent out my room yet, but it will happen.
Push come to
At
shove.
some point, it will happen, because recently a nurse called me, my cousin, who is a travel nurse, and she asked me if I could put someone up who was coming into Rhode Island as a travel nurse. And I said no, because I said no to that. But she said it's something that you can think about. There's a lot of money to be made. You do have a free room in your house. And I said, and I live very close to the hospital. And so it's something that I percolate in the back of my mind. But you do, as Coach Lee just said a while ago, you do have to spend to even create the environment to enter that kind of business as well. It's not just open the door and let them in.
Yeah. So I guess what I was going to say, when I take that step back of, as Dr. Hume was saying, I have a book. So that's on Amazon. So you have the residuals and things like that that comes in. So I guess for me, instead of creating an additional stream of income as in another business, another something like that, how can I diversify in what I do? Like I coach, I have a book, speaking, things like that. But I guess I look at that under that same LLC, under the same business, but different arms under that. So more so sticking in my niche. But how else can I make money within the same
How can
niche?
you diversify your niche?
Yes.
And
So
your
I would say,
talent?
yes, I'm doing that, and I'm looking to do that. Like I'm finalizing a planner that I'm trying to get out there. Like I've been testing it, but I need to get it up on Amazon and get the KDP and all that stuff together. But yeah.
Yeah, that would actually be stressful to try to create another business on top of something that we're already doing. We have all these things in one business already, these different streams. So I can definitely understand your perspective with that. That would drive me crazy to try to start a new business on top of what I'm already doing with all the things under one umbrella.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Nicole, did you have anything you want to say about that before we move on?
Yes, I actually do. So actually, I love what Coach Lee said earlier on. She's trying to like work on first paying off her debt. So that way it can be able to help her expand on maybe other different options of her income. And that's something that I also relate with, because honestly, I've also been dealing with debt personally, and I just completed this huge debt last year. And so like the whole of last year, I wasn't like really on that much pressure of trying to expand my sources of income, because I just had this debt that I really wanted to get rid of. And now that I've gotten rid of it, it's now that I feel free, and it's now starting to give me the freedom to start to think of other things to help me expand my sources of income. And even in my niche, like I just got to realize that, okay, instead of me having to start again something different, like totally out of what I do, how about me starting something still maybe in relation to what I'm doing, but then now just start to expand my sources of income slowly by slowly over there. And this year, I think one of the things that I'm starting to become more intentional in is public speaking, building my skills in public speaking. And I've actually like being just intentional even with the way I show up on social media and stuff like that. And so a few people have started calling me over to speak at the events. So that's like already a portfolio that I'm trying to build. And apart from that, also, I have a YouTube channel. Like I also produce content on YouTube. I haven't like really been serious with it, but now, because I'm now trying to think of other sources of income, but what I share there is still almost related to what I do, career and relocation and that stuff. My channel is now like almost being monetized. And so I'm now looking at that also as another income stream. And then also I'm looking at just expanding my coaching as well to institutions, because there are a lot of institutions here that still always rely on speakers coming in, trainings for the students, schools, things of that sort. So I'm also like trying to expand my umbrella to schools, training schools, speaking at schools, and things of that sort. So yeah, so right now I told myself I'm not really going to put myself on too much pressure in terms of doing something outside what I'm currently doing, because again, that means I also need to have that love for it. And if it's something that I'm not like really so passionate about, then I'd rather first focus more on what I'm really passionate about and then try to expand the sources of income. Because my family was so much on me like getting into fashion, but then I was like, okay, yeah, fashion is great. I could expand it as a source of income, sell clothes and stuff, but then it's not really my thing. And even me myself, I also struggle to style myself up. So what the heck would I be doing styling other people when I'm also struggling with it, right? So I was like, guys, please give me a break for now. Let me discover me around what I do and try to create other sources related to what I'm doing at the moment. And yeah, I feel really great about it. So it's definitely something that I'm now just working on, being more intentional, but at the same time also just ensuring that I'm able to expand my sources of income as well.
Can I add something to that? I am very experienced with public speaking. And if you need public speaking training as you try to build your brand as a speaker, you can connect with me and we can discuss it because
Oh, wow.
I am a professional speaker. I have done the last 20 years, I've done a lot of work, very highly paid speaking gigs. I have been a little bit lazy throughout the semester about getting opportunities or because pitching for opportunities is a big thing in the speaking world. But you mentioned your YouTube channel, so I'd love to check it out because I'm also trying to monetize my YouTube. So over this year, my focus was to allow my YouTube to not be just an archive of my work. Because I used to, when I do video content, I would just post it over there. It's like a library. Now I'm trying to
Yeah.
make my YouTube channel a more active space, a space where I can teach and monetize as well. So as we talk about different streams of income, I'm so pleased that you said your YouTube because I'd love to follow you as well. And hopefully you can follow me so we can share tips
Yeah,
and
most
ideas.
definitely.
But in terms of professional speaking, I am years ahead in terms of the experience I've had and the opportunities I've had in that space. It's a great space to be in, but you always have to frame yourself in a certain way. It's also a very competitive field.
Yeah.
But if you have a message and you come across with authority and credibility, then I can't see why you wouldn't succeed. I don't know Uganda. I don't know how it works there, but networking is obviously a very good strategy as well. And your YouTube channel, because the last gig I got was Brown University Medical School and then Brown University Executive Education. And the woman had already watched my YouTube, which is what was
Wow.
very interesting that they already do their
Mhm.
research. So when you say work on your YouTube, make sure you're working on it and it looks clean and polished and not
Yeah.
just you throwing some videos on there, which I used to do in the beginning. I've stopped doing that now, but we can talk. We can talk.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Of
Hume.
course, of course,
Definitely connect.
of course.
All right. So I guess we're getting ready to close this thing out. So what's one mindset shift or piece of advice that's helping you stay powerful, peaceful, or focused right now? Anybody that want to answer first?
For me, I never lean into despair. I refuse to because I grew up in an environment where my mother used to be very worried and anxious, and she was struggling as a single mother with 3 kids. But I've evolved and seen her have so much faith that you can't say anything to her that is any semblance of doubt, and she doesn't shut it down. And I don't understand when the transformation came, but I rely on it every day. I rely on her belief that everything is going to work out. And so I try not to lean into fear. I lean into what my strengths are. I know what value I bring to the table. And I think Coach Lee at one point said people should know who they are. That's what I sell. My most popular book is called Brand You, meaning know who you are and the unique value that you bring to the table in your industry and try to evolve those skills that you have and be able to effectively communicate that value. Because a lot of us have value, but we are unable to communicate it in an effective way to land the
Right.
kind of results that we have. So I try to keep my mother's faith when mine falters. I try to remember that she has this utmost faith that everything is going to work out. And when it doesn't, we're always being redirected. I also want to remind women, especially Black women, that we can't accomplish anything if we're unhealthy. The one thing that can bring everything to a halt is if we get unwell. So I think that it's always a reminder to myself to eat well, take good care of myself, mentally as well, especially in the environment we live in the United States. I'm a news junkie and I find myself getting a little bit down from
Yeah.
my overconsumption of the news. And I'm going to make a concerted effort as soon as the semester ends to reduce significantly my focus on what's going on outside.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything to say
For
about that?
me, I would say typically every month I come up with a word or a phrase for the month. So my word or phrase for this month is to be the weed. When you think about those weeds out in your yard, you spray them, you kill them. You never planted those seeds for the weeds to be there, but yet and still they persist. So weed is an acronym. I withstand every environmental difficulty. So basically, no matter what comes against me, no matter what happens, I'm gonna stand. I'm gonna rise. So the mindset shift or the thought or the belief that essentially Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ. I like you are who you are, own it, be it. So for me this month, it's be the weed. I am a weed because I will withstand every environmental difficulty.
I love that.
We want to get rid of those weeds though.
We want to get rid of them, but yet and still they keep coming back. That's the point. If
They
everything
sure
that
do.
you
Oh my
do,
God. I had to
that's
put
how
out
the
some stuff the
conversation
other day
kind
to
of
get
came.
rid of those weeds.
That's how the
Bring back-
conversation came out. We were having a conversation on Clubhouse on Sunday, and we were talking, and I was saying, like, get rid of the reeds. But then I thought about it. I'm like, we do all this work to get rid of weeds, and yet and still, like, they keep coming back. Like, I never planted a seed for a weed. I never went and bought seed plants at the
They
Lowe's or
just
Home
there.
Yeah,
Depot. Yet and
it's just
still,
there.
they keep showing
Permanence.
up. My daddy keep coming to spray them and kill them. We keep pulling them, but they keep coming back. So be the
That's
weed
so
in the
true.
sense that no matter how much
Yeah.
what sets out to destroy you, what tries to eradicate you, keep coming
I
back
love it.
and come back
I love
stronger.
That is definitely
I
the
love that
thing.
word of the month too. I'm going to see that one. Word of the month. I love it.
Yes.
That was great.
Yeah, I think honestly, also I just love the weed word as well from you, Coach Lee, because personally also I love to give myself certain words to run with for the entire year. And for me, my word this year is intentionality, like being intentional. And I remember there's a time somebody texted me, sent me a comment on one of my posts, and the person was, Nicole, why are you all over the place? And in my heart, I was like, okay, like seriously, like we are in this 24 era, like in this digital era whereby if you do not show up, then nobody's going to know what you do, right? Nobody's going to be able to, even you being able to connect with the right people that are supposed to connect with you, obviously it's not going to happen because you're not showing up. So at the back of my mind, I just said, you know what? If you get it, well and good, then you get it. If you don't get it, you don't get it. The people who get it will proceed with it. So that is it for me. So for me, I feel like intentionality is just one of the things that is continuing to keep me pushing, because at the end of the day, I do not have to be your cup of tea, and neither do you have to be mine, right? We all have all our different people that we obviously will connect with. So if I'm not the one for you, that's okay. That's really fine. I don't mind it. I know my right person will connect with me and I will connect with that person. And so because of that, every time I feel like I want to give up, I remember, oh, there's still somebody out there who probably needs to hear about you, who probably needs to know what you do. And now if you dim your light, what happens to that person then tomorrow? So I even just recently had this thought in my mind and I told myself, okay, if you operate behind the scenes, nobody's going to know you, because if you move behind me, I don't have eyes behind my back to see you. So how am I going to see you? But if you come in front of me, of course, my eyes are visible. That means I'm going to be able to see you. So in this world of so much chaos, there's so much competition, saturated market and things of that sort, how is anybody really going to be able to see you if you're not even intentional in showing up regardless? So for me, I feel that's something that is just continuing to push me, continuing to push my agenda. Those that understand what I'm doing and the impact that I'm making in other people's lives will come. Those that do not, it's okay. Move your path, I'll move my path. Yeah.
I love it. All right, ladies, this is gonna end our podcast session for today. This was a very great conversation. I enjoyed having each and every one of you here today. But before we go, I would love for you to let the audience know how they can find you, give out your social media, websites, or anything you want to give out so they can find you.
My website is humejohnson.com, HUMEJOHNSON. I am Dr. Hume Johnson, DRHUMEJOHNSON on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I'm Dr. Hume Johnson everywhere. It's easy to find me. My name is not as hard to remember either. Hume, Hume.
Hume, and what do you do again? So they can know exactly what you do.
I'm a brand-centered leadership coach and a professor of communication. So I help mid-career professionals and executives to unlock their personal brand. When I say personal brand, I'm not talking about social media. I'm talking about who you are and the unique value that you can bring to the table in your industry, and also to communicate their value with confidence, with clarity, and with credibility. That's it.
And I'm Coach Lee. I'm at legally.me everywhere, which is LEGALLEE.me. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, website is legally.me. So again, I'm Coach Lee, your productivity and accountability coach, all about empowering corporate and professional women to find that hidden time in their day, time that they can use to pour back into themselves as they pursue their goals, their purpose, and their life passions, while still maintaining their current responsibilities without the stress and without the overwhelm.
Nice. Mine is Nicole, the Career Catalyst, on all my socials, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So yeah, I'm a career coach, so I deal with mid-career professionals who are looking to navigate the job market, those that are trying to transition from one career to another to be able to find their paths, so that way they can also expand their portfolio careers. So anything related to career, relocation, that is what I do. Thank you.
All right, and I'll also include your information at the bottom in the description of the podcast as well. So, all right, ladies, thank you for joining me
Thank you
here
so much.
for the discussion, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your beautiful day today.
Thank
And
you.
until next time, bye.
Thank you for
Bye.
having me.
Thank you
Nice to
so
meet you,
much.
ladies.
Thank you
So
so
happy to
much.
have you here. Thank
Lovely
you.
meeting you, ladies. I'll be in touch.
Bye.
Lovely meeting you too. Bye.